Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your Tuesday Inspirational Vitamin with Carly. I will be reading out of Daniel today, and I'll just be talking about a passage that I think a lot of you guys are really familiar with. So it's in Daniel chapter 3, and it's with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And basically the whole backstory to what I'm about to read is that King Nebuchadnezzar had built a golden statue of himself. And essentially any time the sound of a musical instrument like a drum, a lyre, a harp, a flute, played, everyone had to bow down and worship the golden statue of King Nebuchadnezzar. However, there were some very godly men in the city who said no to that. So naturally, these three men were reported to the king, and the king was like, do this or else. And and so that's where I'm going to pick up. So it says in verse 16 of chapter 3, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to the king, Nebuchadnezzar, we don't need to give you an answer to this question. If the God we serve exists, then he can rescue us from the furnace of blazing fire, and he can rescue us from the power of you, the king. But even if he does not rescue us, we want you as king to know that we will not serve your gods or worship the gold statue you set up. And then you know the rest of the story too. King Nebuchadnezzar freaks out, throws him in the fire, and cranks up the heat. And God rescues these three men. It's an incredible story, a very powerful story. And every time I read it, I feel very much like, well, this is really cool, but this would never happen today. Or what a cool story, but did this really happen in real life? Can God really do this? And I know there are a lot of translations of the Bible that will translate this verse into, but if not, God is still good, which is true. But that's not really the most direct translation of this. But I know a way we can think about it is, no matter what happens, life is going to throw us situations where we have to make really difficult choices, and uncomfortable choices, and sometimes life or death choices, or sometimes it is chosen for us. And I just love the response that these three men had in this situation. Now, we are not probably ever going to be asked to bow down and worship a golden statue. But there are going to be situations in life, and there are right now, where we have to decide if we still think, even if this does not go our way, is God still good? Is God still faithful? Because the three men replied, even if God does not rescue us, we still will not bow down and worship this statue. That takes incredible boldness and courage and faith. And I just want to encourage everyone to have that today as well. Thanks.